everyone. Welcome to day 10. So, did you all get a new cover photo on your Facebook pages? I hope it drew some attention. I hope you got some people excited and maybe some potential hosts or new team members. So, you really want everybody to know that you're a Scentsy consultant. So, let's go back to that list of 100. Are you getting the point that your list of 100 is super important? Have you contacted everybody on that list at this point? And maybe you haven't. And maybe your list hasn't gotten to 100 yet. You know what's interesting is for me, and some of you may be in the same boat as I was when I joined. So when I started Scentsy, I was a dental hygienist. So I was in the healthcare field and I was cleaning people's teeth, and we had a pretty serious, I actually worked in the same office for 23 years, but it was a very serious kind of office. And for example, I had a microscope in my room, and for every patient I would take plaque samples and we would talk about the different types of bacteria in their mouth. So it was very clinical. It was very much a clinical setting. So it really wasn't appropriate for me to start talking about Scentsy. Asking people, oh, so yeah, you have some really bad bacteria in your mouth, and do you want to book a party? As much as it was killing me, because believe me, I was shouting from the rooftops. I wanted to talk to everybody about Scentsy. And so I understand, I know some of you may work places where it's just not appropriate to talk to people about your business. I've even heard of people working in places where they've been told you absolutely may not talk about your Scentsy business while you're at work. So when I made my original list of 100, it wasn't 100. It was definitely under 50. So I wanted to share with you that it's okay. I didn't want you to know in the beginning, but now I want you to know that it's okay if your list wasn't 100, because believe me, it didn't take long once I started to do parties. So once I did, as a matter of fact, my very first party was with somebody I didn't even know. It was one of my friend's sisters, because I asked my friends. Nobody said yes. Nobody said that they would have a party for me. And one girl said, well, my friend likes to have, she said, my sister likes to have parties, those kind of parties. Like it was some taboo thing. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I did a party for her. And then I was able to book 2 parties from that party, and it moved on quickly from there. So again, if your list of 100 isn't at 100, it's okay. But work on it, and you can get it to 100. It won't take long. So even though my list of 100 was under 50, I still managed to make director in 5 months. So, and I don't say that to brag to you. I just want you to know that it's okay if your list isn't really big and you don't feel like you know enough people. Another story I kind of wanted to share with you is that in the beginning, I was working so hard, so diligently, and it was so stressful. We talked about that balancing act. And so this is why I like to share some of these stories with you, because I like you to not make some of the same mistakes that I made. So I joined, it was actually the end of August 2008. So really I kind of think of it as September is when I joined, because that's really when my business kicked off. So let's say September. Well, in November, I had sponsored I think 3 or 4 people at that point. So my first 2 months, because remember the story of Patty Lynch that joined my team, and then a couple other people joined. And in November of that year, so just 2 months after I had started, remember I did the 23 home parties. So you can only imagine what my PRV was. It was pretty darn high. And I had 3 team members on my team. Well, I looked at my numbers, and all of a sudden the GWV, which is the important number to make director, has to be 10,000. I was at like 9,900 and whatever. And I went into panic mode. I picked up the phone and I called my 3 team members, and I begged and pleaded with them to please not enter anything else, because there was no way that I could be a Scentsy director. I didn't even have an extra minute at all. Now, come to find, after the years have gone by, Becca, my sponsor, and I have had many conversations about that, because I actually kept her from promoting to superstar director when I did that. And meanwhile, she's sitting on her computer out in Utah watching, refreshing, waiting for me to hit director, because she was sure I was going to make director. And I had begged everyone to wait till the next morning to enter. So because we didn't really communicate, because I was working so hard and doing all of the things that she told me to do, but she never said to me, Jen, don't worry about if you make director, I will help you because I know you're busy. So she was at home. Scentsy was her full-time business, but I didn't know that she would step in and help me. So communication is key, because I may have made director quickly, much quicker than I did, which was probably, you know what, I always say everything that's meant to be is meant to be. I don't think I was meant to make director that night, which is why that happened. So I just don't want you to make the same mistakes as I. If you feel like this business is going to take off, don't be afraid to say to your director, you know what, I'm going to get to director, but I'm going to need some help, because until I can back off of my other job a little bit, I'm going to need some help from you. And your director is going to say, you got it. And if she can't, she's going to say, then our superstar director will be like, you got it. Somebody will help you. So just communicate and be aware that, you know what, we all have a different journey. So let's see, where was it? I know, I totally just went way off what I was going to say. So anyway, I'm just going to jump in. So I am not in any way telling you to purchase any books. I'm not requiring you to purchase any books. But I will let you know that I feel very strongly that I am where I am because of reading great books. My favorite author of direct sales, any type of direct sales book, is Mary Christensen. And this is probably, I think this is the first book I read. It's called Be a Party Plan Superstar by Mary Christensen. And it's Christensen. She's phenomenal. This woman built a 7-figure business and has written multiple books about it. So if you're looking for something to fill your mind, if you're looking for something to read a little bit each day, I actually reread this book every single year. I reread all of her books every single year. I at least flip through and I try to retain some of the things or remember. And every year I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even really got that. So this is a fantastic book. When I made that video of how to come up with your list of 100, that's in this book. So it's where is I think it's chapter 5 is where I got all of that information. So this is full of really cool stuff. You can get this book on Amazon for $10 to $12 if you're interested. But if you're looking for somewhere to start, I would start with this. Be a Party Plan Superstar. It's full of all kinds of great tips. For example, let's see. Oh, okay. So I opened to this, page 44. And this is about keeping a separate calendar. So it's so cool. So she teaches you about when you go to home parties, don't bring your big calendar. So I have a book that I walk around with, and it's this is all my Scentsy stuff, but it says don't bring this huge thing with all your kids' hockey games and everything else on it. Bring a separate calendar so that it looks like, oh, this is just her party calendar. And I'll put like stickers, and it explains this in this book, but I'll put like stickers, like star stickers on dates that I really want to do a home party, and I'll say, hey, if you pick one of the dates with a star, then you're going to get something extra special, and I might just give them an extra scent circle or something like that for picking that special date. Okay, so anyway, if you're interested in getting a book, I would strongly suggest that you try something like this book. This would be a great start. I want you guys to get your basket parties. So you watch that video together about basket parties. So you should have some basket parties ready to go. So now there's a big, huge, gigantic challenge. I'm going to challenge you to try to get these basket parties to people, to start collecting orders, either individual orders because of the basket parties. You're going to keep one with you at all times. I want you to get into the habit of always having testers and catalogs with you. Remember that if you live in a warm climate, don't leave them in your car because they will melt, and do tell people not to leave them in the car. I actually make little signs and I hang them on my basket parties that say, attention, do not flash, do not leave these in your car or everything will melt. So I want you to try to get these basket parties into people's hands. I want you to really work on your sales. I want you to really work on, my goal is always to have hit my 500 PRV by the 10th of every single month. And that way everything else is gravy. So I'm going to hit my 2,000, of course, but my 500 has been hit by the 10th of the month. So with these basket parties, you're going to try to get them into the hands of people. And I would like you, this is a really one of those big, humongous, gigantic goals. See if you can collect an order at least every single day for the next 6 days. So from a random person. So, or it doesn't have to be a random person, but because you're out and about, go somewhere, go to the restaurant, set your testers on the counter, see if you can get an order from the waitress. Because you're sitting there smelling, carry those things with you everywhere. Bring them out, share them. Maybe you'll be able to leave those testers with the waitress and say, hey, I'll come back in 2 days. You can keep these and maybe have your friends smell them too. Other people that work here, leave them in the break room, smell them. I'll come back in 2 days and collect them. And you're probably going to have some orders. So I want you to start working on getting those basket parties out. And then the other thing is my number one favorite thing is always a home party. So anytime you give someone a basket party, I want you to really try to work on turning it into a home party if that's a possibility. So I didn't really give you any real defined goals or challenges, I guess, here. I guess what I'm asking is I want you to, this week, I want you to get your basket parties out, as many as you have, and I want you to really work on collecting orders because you took the time to take a basket party and went to a restaurant, or you stopped at your tanning salon, or you went to your massage therapy salon place, or your dental office. You went and had your teeth cleaned, and so you brought it in and you left it with the ladies. But I want you to write in the comments every time you get an additional order because you went above and beyond because of this challenge, not your regular orders, but anything additional. So I know this was a little confusing. It's not black and white. So take what you want out of this challenge and continue to leap for a lead.